Hey there everyone, this is Dan from the Strength Coach Tutor. Thanks for checking out today's video. Today we are going to talk about periodization. We're going to start off with linear periodization, talk about macro, meso, and microcycles, and then transition into nonlinear or undulating periodization. So let's go ahead and get started with linear periodization. So the basic relationship or the basic concept that you have to understand is that over time, as we get closer to our season and even through our season, intensity is going up, and as a result, volume has to come down. They have an indirect relationship. And the easiest way to think about this, right, the heavier loads you lift or the heavier weights you lift, the less volume you're able to do, right? Same concept, except this is extrapolated over a much longer period of time, right? And how we're going to program this intensity and volume is going to be dependent on the time of year and what our training goals are for that time period. So, for example, right, during the off season, our focus, right, is going to be hypertrophy and strength endurance. If that's the case, typically we're going to see a little bit higher volumes and lower intensities. You're also going to see that technique line is going to be a little bit lower as well, because these exercises that we're implementing or programming or prescribing, they are going to be less technique demanding, right? There's not a lot of skill proficiency needed for most of these movements that we're going to perform during this time period. However, once we transition into that preseason now, we're going to incorporate more strength and power based activities. We're going to start incorporating some plyometrics, some Olympic lifting, whatever it is, any explosive types of drills that we're going to do to get ready for our in-season time period, right? So as we're increasing the intensity, volume is going to come down during this time period. But again, the biggest difference there too is that we are also increasing the exercise technique. So the skill behind some of these movements is going to be more demanding, all right? Or it's going to require a higher level of proficiency. And then, of course, during the in-season or the competition phase, we are looking to potentially further increase that intensity and decrease that volume over the course of that season. So in the in-season, we can either be looking to peak or maintain. To me, peaking refers to when our individual sport athletes, like our track and field, cross country, cycling, swimming, wrestling, gymnastics, those individuals might be looking to peak at a certain meet or event, right? And so therefore they can qualify for regionals, or maybe they've made it to regionals or nationals, and that's the meet that they're trying to peak at, right? And so that type of program is going to look a little bit different compared to if someone's trying to maintain throughout the course of a season, right? If you have, let's just say, 20 basketball games throughout the course of a season, you want to maintain that same performance throughout the whole course of the season, right? You want to maintain those gains you made in the off and the preseason throughout the course of that in-season, all right? And so then lastly, immediately after our last game of the in-season, we are going into our postseason or active rest. This is where we are doing nothing related to our sport. We are not spending any time in the weight room, but we're still staying active, right? So again, let's just say we are a basketball player. We could be swimming, cycling, playing golf, right? Maybe playing tennis. We're doing something that's still allowing us to be active, but we are not participating in a sport, and we are not spending time in the weight room. Now let's go ahead and talk about macro, meso, and microcycles. So typically when we're talking about macrocycles, it's the entirety of a training period. And for most contexts, it's going to last anywhere from 6 months to 4 years. We use that time span of 4 years typically due to Olympic athletes, right? The Olympics are once every 4 years, and certain athletes are going to be training for those certain events, right? Or for whatever event they're competing in the Olympics. But in most cases, for the individuals we're working with, or if we're working with high school, collegiate, even professional sport athletes, especially team sports, their macrocycle is going to be 1 year, right? An academic calendar is 1 year, right? A single sports season is going to be 1 year, right? When we talked about the off-season, preseason, in-season, and postseason, that should be taking up the entirety of 1 year, right? And so those 4 splits that I just talked about there, you can almost think of those as 4 mesocycles, right? And those 4 mesocycles are comprising that one macrocycle, okay? So mesocycles are breaking up the macrocycle into chunks. And so they can last anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 months, right? It's going to vary depending on your training goals and what you're looking to achieve during that time period. And usually during each mesocycle, we do have a training goal. So like, for example, when we talked about on the previous slide, we had said during the off season, we're looking to train for hypertrophy and strength endurance. Like, that's our training goal during that time period. That's the adaptation we're looking to elicit or create during that time period, and hence that is our goal. And then microcycle, those are going to be breaking down the mesocycle into even smaller chunks on a weekly to even 4-week basis, where there might be some minor variations in volume or exercise selection. But again, whatever those minor variations are, it's to help you eventually achieve whatever that goal is for that mesocycle. And lastly, let's talk about nonlinear or undulating periodization. So this is the idea or concept that volume and load are altered more frequently. So they can be altered or changed daily, weekly, bi-weekly. And what this allows us to do is for the neuromuscular system to give it more time to recover, basically. And we're going to perform lighter loads more frequently to allow for this recovery to happen. And typically athletes with a higher training age are going to benefit from this because they are more beaten down just over the course of time, right? And they're going to need more time to recover. So as you can see in the bottom left graph here, right, there's a lot of troughs and valleys, right? There's a lot of highs and a lot of lows. And as you can see, right, volume and intensity are still going to have the same relationship, right? So as volume goes up, you can see the line for intensity goes down, right? Volume comes down, then intensity goes up. Volume goes up, intensity comes down. And same with technique too, right? Intensity is going to kind of follow a very similar line with technique there for the most part. So what's important to know is that volume and intensity still have the same relationship, but the amount of change that they're going through is going to occur more frequently, right? We're going to see greater ebbs and flows in intensity and volumes on that daily, weekly, or bi-weekly basis compared to we may keep those relatively consistent throughout the course of a mesocycle or through several microcycles, whereas this is changing significantly more frequently. Okay, so that's the biggest difference there between linear and nonlinear periodization. I hope you guys did find this video useful, and if you did, please do me a favor, like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below, and I'm happy to address any questions you may have. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome for making it this far in the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Keep checking back each week for our new videos. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and please do me a favor, like and subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you later.